It was a cloudy Sunday morning in suburban Ohio, the kind of morning when the house felt quieter than usual. The Johnson family's living room, with its light gray walls, tall windows, and abstract paintings, carried an unusual tension. The silence was not the comfortable kind that came after laughter or shared warmth. It was the heavy, suffocating kind that pressed on everyone inside. On the couch sat Emily Johnson, her arms wrapped tightly around a cream-colored pillow. She wasn't hugging it for comfort as much as for protection, as if the fabric barrier could shield her from the words she didn't want to hear. Her face was pale, eyes locked downward, lips pressed thin. Across from her, on the same couch but a world away, was Daniel Johnson, her husband. His posture was forward-leaning, elbows resting on his knees, hands gesturing midair as he spoke with frustration. His striped shirt looked wrinkled, his eyes weary, and yet there was fire in his voice. Between them sat no one, just a hollow space that had grown over years of arguments and misunderstandings. On the carpeted floor, their 10-year-old son Ethan sat cross-legged with a smartphone in his hands. His small fingers moved across the screen rapidly, his eyes glued to the device. The glow of the phone gave him a private world, a shield from the storm that brewed above his head. "Emily," Daniel's voice finally broke the silence. "We can't keep living like this. Every conversation turns into an argument. You sit there, shut down, and I'm left shouting into the void." Emily's arms tightened around the pillow. "Do you think I want to shut down? Do you think I enjoy this?" Her voice cracked, low but sharp. "I don't know how to talk to you anymore. Everything I say, you twist it, or you use it against me." Daniel shook his head. "That's not fair. I'm trying, Emily. I am trying. But you just pull away. You don't let me in. You don't let anyone in." Ethan shifted slightly, pretending not to listen, but every word sank into his small ears. His thumbs moved slower on the screen now. His shoulders hunched, as if hoping to disappear. Flashback. 5 years ago. 5 years earlier, things had been different. Emily and Daniel had been high school sweethearts who'd carried their love into adulthood. Daniel, a software engineer, and Emily, a part-time art teacher, had shared dreams of raising a happy family. Their early days were filled with laughter, movie nights, beach vacations, painting sessions with Ethan when he was just a toddler splashing colors on canvases. But as careers grew demanding and bills piled up, laughter turned into sighs, vacations into unpaid leave, and painting sessions into arguments about screen time. Slowly, the invisible wall rose between them. Back to present. "I feel like you're not even here anymore," Daniel said, voice trembling between anger and pain. "You sit in the same room, but it's like you're 1,000 miles away. And I don't know how to reach you." Emily's eyes welled up, but she looked away. "And I feel like whenever I try to talk, you don't listen, you just wait for your turn to argue. You don't hear me, Daniel. You hear what you want." The words hung in the air, heavy and sharp. Ethan's phone buzzed with a notification. He tapped it quickly, pretending to be absorbed, but inside his chest, his heart raced. He hated these moments. He hated when his parents' voices grew louder, when the safe space of home felt like a battlefield. He wanted to shout at them to stop, but he didn't. Instead, he retreated further into the glowing screen, into the digital world where dragons and spaceships replaced the sound of anger. The unspoken words. Neither parent noticed the boy's shrinking world. To them, Ethan was fine, quiet, responsible, always busy with his gadgets. What they didn't see was how their arguments carved invisible scars inside him. Daniel rubbed his face with both hands, exhaling hard. "Emily, this isn't just about us anymore. Look at Ethan. Do you think he doesn't notice? He's 10. He hears everything." Emily glanced at their son. He was hunched, head bent, face illuminated by the screen. For a brief moment, her heart clenched. She wanted to reach out, to take the phone away and pull him into her arms, but the fear of rejection kept her still. "He's fine," she whispered, though her voice betrayed her doubt. "Kids are resilient." Daniel's tone sharpened. "No, he's not fine. He's disappearing right in front of us. We're so wrapped up in this mess that we're losing him." Emily's arms loosened around the pillow, and her eyes stung with tears she fought to hide. Ethan's secret world. Inside his game, Ethan's avatar was a knight battling monsters. He liked that world. There, he was strong, capable, and in control. In real life, he felt powerless, like a spectator in his own home. Sometimes at school, he would tell his best friend Jacob that his parents were just busy, that they worked a lot. He never admitted the truth, that most evenings were filled with silence punctuated by arguments. He never confessed how lonely it felt to sit in a house full of people and still feel invisible. The breaking point. That Sunday, the storm finally cracked. Daniel raised his voice, not in anger but in desperation. "Emily, we need help. Therapy, counseling, something. I can't keep pretending we're okay. Because we're not." Emily looked at him, startled by the raw honesty in his tone. "Therapy," she echoed, almost defensively. "You think a stranger can fix what we can't?" Daniel's eyes softened, though his voice was still firm. "No, I think we can fix it, with help. But not like this. Not by avoiding. Not by pretending." Ethan's game screen flashed, "Game over," but he didn't restart. Instead, he stared blankly, his small hands trembling around the device. A single thought circled in his head: please don't leave each other. Please don't break apart. Evening shadows. By evening, the house had grown quiet again. Emily sat by the window, staring at the fading sunlight. Daniel was in the kitchen, pacing, trying to calm his restless mind. Ethan had curled up in his room, headphones on, drowning the silence with music. Emily touched the windowpane, her reflection blurry against the glass. She thought of the early years, of laughter and warmth, and wondered when exactly they had slipped away. Daniel finally walked into the living room. His voice was softer now, worn out. "I'm not giving up on us, Emily. But I can't do this alone. We owe it to Ethan, and to ourselves, to try." Emily's throat tightened. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to reach across the gulf that had grown between them. But fear held her back, fear of failure, fear of disappointment, fear that maybe it was already too late. To be continued. That night, 3 people slept under the same roof, but in 3 separate worlds. A mother with unspoken regrets. A father with restless determination. And a child who clung to a glowing screen to shield himself from the cracks in his family. The Johnson family's story was far from over. The real test, the choice between breaking apart or rebuilding stronger, was just beginning. The night after the storm felt endless. The Johnson household lay in silence, broken only by the hum of the refrigerator and the ticking clock in the hallway. Sleep was a stranger to all 3. Emily tossed and turned, Daniel stared at the ceiling, and Ethan hid beneath his blanket, the glow of his phone dimming only when his tired eyes gave in to exhaustion. Monday morning. The next morning, the tension clung to the family like a heavy coat. Breakfast was a quiet affair. The clinking of spoons against cereal bowls echoed louder than words. Ethan sat silently, his eyes drooping, a shadow of the bright boy he once was. Daniel cleared his throat. "I looked up a family counselor last night. There's a place near Maplewood. They have openings this week." Emily froze, spoon midway to her mouth. "Already?" Daniel's tone was steady. "Yes. I don't want to waste more time." Ethan's head lifted slightly, curiosity flickering behind his tired eyes. He didn't fully understand what counseling meant, but the word carried both hope and fear. Emily hesitated, then sighed. "Fine. We'll try it." The first session. 2 days later, the Johnsons sat in a softly lit office decorated with plants, bookshelves, and a faint aroma of lavender. Across from them sat Harper, a middle-aged therapist with kind eyes and a calm voice. "So, Harper began gently, "why are we here today?" Daniel spoke first, his voice firm but heavy. "We're here because we're falling apart. And I don't want us to." Emily shifted uncomfortably. "We're struggling. Communication, trust, everything feels broken." "Doctor." Harper nodded, then looked at Ethan. "And how about you, Ethan? What's it like for you at home?" The boy fidgeted with his sleeve, eyes darting between his parents. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, almost in a whisper, "I don't like when they fight. I want it to stop." The room fell silent. Emily's chest tightened, Daniel's jaw clenched. Hearing the truth from their son's mouth was more painful than any argument. Breaking the walls. Over the next few weeks, the Johnsons attended several sessions. Daniel learned that his frustration often came across as anger, even when he didn't mean it. Emily realized that her silence, meant to avoid conflict, only deepened the divide. Ethan found a safe space where his feelings were heard, his small voice carrying more power than he had ever imagined. One session, drive. Harper asked them to recall a happy memory together. Emily smiled faintly. The beach trip, when Ethan was 4. He built a sandcastle taller than himself. Daniel chuckled softly. And it collapsed 5 minutes later because the tide came in. Ethan giggled. But I didn't cry. I just built another one. The room warmed with shared laughter, a rare sound in recent years. For the first time in a long while, the Johnsons remembered what it felt like to be a family. Setbacks. But healing wasn't linear. One evening, after a particularly stressful day at work, Daniel snapped when he came home to find dishes piled in the sink. Emily, already exhausted, snapped back. Voices rose, tempers flared. Ethan ran to his room, tears streaming down his face. Later that night, guilt consumed them both. They found their son curled under his blanket. Emily whispered through her tears, "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. We shouldn't have yelled." Daniel added softly, "We're learning. We'll do better." Ethan sniffled, then said something that cut straight to their hearts. "I just want us to be happy again." The turning point. The next counseling session, drive. Harper introduced an exercise, writing letters they'd never spoken out loud. Emily's letter to Daniel read, "I miss us. I miss the way you used to look at me, the way we laughed over nothing. I'm scared, Daniel. Scared that we've lost what we had. Scared that I'm not enough. My silence isn't because I don't care, it's because I'm afraid if I speak, I'll break us more." Daniel's eyes blurred as he read it. His letter to Emily was equally raw. "I'm sorry if I made you feel unheard. I raised my voice because I'm scared too. Scared of losing you. Scared of failing as a husband, as a father. I don't want to fight you, Emily. I want to fight for us." Ethan's letter was short, written in shaky handwriting. "I love you both. I just want us to be together and not fight. Please don't forget about me." Tears flowed freely that day. But they weren't tears of anger, they were tears of release, of truth finally spoken. Rebuilding. Slowly, the Johnsons began to change. Family dinners returned, where phones were set aside and conversations, however small, filled the table. Weekend walks became routine, with Ethan riding his bike ahead while Daniel and Emily walked side by side, sometimes in silence, sometimes in laughter. Arguments didn't disappear, but they softened. Voices lowered, pauses lengthened, and apologies came quicker. Ethan grew brighter. He laughed more, talked more, and needed his phone less as his world outside the screen grew safer again. A new living room. Months later, on another quiet Sunday, the Johnson family sat once more in their living room. But this time, the silence wasn't heavy, it was peaceful. Emily leaned against Daniel, her head on his shoulder, while Ethan sprawled on the carpet with his Legos. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows, bathing the room in warmth. "Remember when this room felt like a battlefield?" Emily murmured. Daniel nodded. "Now it feels like home again." Ethan looked up with a grin. "It's better now. Way better." For the first time in years, hope didn't feel fragile. It felt real. Closing. The Johnsons weren't perfect. They still had hard days, still stumbled, still disagreed. But they had chosen to fight, not against each other, but for each other. And in that choice, they discovered something worth more than perfection: resilience, forgiveness, and the courage to rebuild love even after it had cracked. The silent living room that once echoed with tension was now filled with laughter, warmth, and the promise of a family that refused to give up.